That spring, my dad threw a party for his friends at work. I knew a lot of these people, advertising copywriters and creative service directors and announcers that did voiceovers for my dad. Whenever he threw a party, my brother and I worked. I was a server, greeter, coat check. Hello, welcome to our home. Can I take your coat, please? And I'd lug their big, wet, heavy winter coats up to the guest room along with all the ladies' purses made of beautiful goatskin leather and snap patent leather pockets. All with a luscious fragrance of grown women, and all fat with cash, which I took. I saw it as a gratuity. My dad wasn't paying me. He called it pitching in. I mean, at first I wasn't even interested in the money. It was enough that people said, "Why, thank you so much, Billy. Why, aren't you a great big boy now?" But when I served hors d'oeuvres to these people, they acted like cattle. I would hold up a platter of bacon-wrapped Smokies, and hands would shoot out from all sides. No eye contact, no thank yous. They'd stuff their mouths and make boring grown-up conversation. That's when I decided to take the money. Just a couple of quarters. Well, maybe an occasional dollar bill if there were enough of them so nobody would notice. That night, I lay on my bed counting all my cash when my dad burst into my bedroom. "Billy, get your shoes on. There's a great big star downstairs for you to meet. Big star, let's go." He obviously didn't see all the money that I was counting. My dad was dressed in a pair of black and tan wingtip brogue shoes and a double-breasted pinstripe suit. He was an advertising exec in the flour and mix division at General Mills, but he dressed like Vito Corleone in The Godfather. He was a tough kid from the neighborhood in the south side of Chicago, grew up behind a cigar store, which was the perfect preparation for the monolithic power that controlled him at work, the Betty Crocker brand. "Son, come on, let's go." So I followed my dad down the steps, not sure what I'd find when I got there. Maybe all the victims of my thefts were lined up waiting for their money back. But in the living room, sitting in an easy chair, was a beautiful blonde woman with a sleeveless black cocktail dress and a smile as wide as the Mississippi. "Son, meet Betty Crocker." Betty Crocker, the lady on the cake mix boxes? "Oh, hello, very nice to meet you." Betty Crocker put out her cigarette, extended her slim, bejeweled hand to me. "Hello, Billy. It is such a pleasure to meet you. You're doing a wonderful job at your father's party." That voice could melt glaciers. She smelled of lilacs. Betty Crocker was real. "We send her all over the country dressed up like Betty Crocker, son. She plays Betty Crocker on TV." Plays Betty Crocker? Like I play G.I. Joe? I got a job doing some radio spots, and the engineer took us into a huge soundproof sound stage and adjusted the mics and gave us copy and introduced me to an older blonde lady named Jane Webb. And I told her my name, and she looked at me like she was trying to remember something from a really long time ago. And she said, "Are you any relation to Joe Ratner?" "Well, he was my father." She covered her mouth to stifle a cry, and she threw her arms around me, and she said, "I worked for your dad. I loved your dad. He came to work at General Mills during a recession when they made us wear buttons that said save. He bought us buttons that said spend." "You're Betty Crocker." Betty Crocker. Big star. My dad called you a big star. And she said, "And we get to work together today." And I said, "Well, it won't be the first time. I was working the party the night I met you, and you were working as Betty Crocker." And then I told her about stealing money from all the purses. And how I hoped one of them was not hers. And she said, "Oh, I understand completely. The money they paid me to be Betty Crocker was obscene. Do you know that she was the second most popular woman in America, second only to Eleanor Roosevelt? And Eleanor Roosevelt was real." "I'm just a voice now," she said. "Too old to be Betty Crocker. They could never let her age." Well, it was 30 years later. But Jane's voice hadn't aged a bit. It was like her voice remembered being Betty Crocker. And she had emerged from the past to confirm that my memories of my dad and that period of my life were real. And now I was doing voiceovers with Betty Crocker. I was in the Museum of Arts and Crafts on Wilshire, staring into a glass display case filled with old marionettes. Decrepit looking. It was like somebody had just sort of thrown them in there. And I wanted to reach in and help them out, straighten them out a little bit. They were lit with these pinpoint spotlights, and they all had little black glass beady eyes. I was mesmerized. I started going to puppet festivals, searching for Fearless Fosdick. But what I found was a woman who collected puppets. She made me her puppet. I married her. We had kids. And now my oldest daughter, Ariana, does the voice of Shirley Temple on the Jumpin' Jellyfish ride in Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Go figure. My dad would have loved that. He used to cast voiceovers. Sometimes I think I've been spending my whole life auditioning for my dad, performing for my mom and my brother. Sometimes I fantasize that they're out there, listening. I'm talking to you now. Do you hear me? I think you do. Bill, are you okay? Can they finish up? Yeah, Boris, no problem. In addition to the tragic loss of life, the airplane accident was also a massive public relations disaster for the entire airlines industry. That's good, Bill. Fantastic. That's a wrap. Say, listen, I've got one question to ask you. Are you still crying? Bill?